Armin, seeing there scenes of celebration and also tension, Haddad expressing some concern. Clearly a very divided country today, but these fears that people have that the new president-elect, Jair Bolsonaro, could really bring the country back to the style of military dictatorship we saw between the mid-60s and mid-80s. Could he really have that much power on the institutions that are solidly in place?
Well, these are, of course, worrying times for LGBT people, black people, women, of course, given the kind of comments that he made during the campaign. But you're right to say that the institutions are well entrenched. Brazilian democracy is more than 30 years old. It's not just emerging from dictatorship now, and Brazil's institutions have survived many crises. And crucially, there's no evidence that the army wants to overstep its constitutional role. So despite the fact that Bolsonaro relies on various ex-military people for advice, and despite his praise for that military regime of 1964 to 1985, there really is a different constitutional and institutional reality today, Eve.
Meanwhile, beyond Brazil's borders, Armin, the result, of course, could have a direct impact on politics in neighbouring countries. What do you think the impact might be?
Well, the first thing to watch, I think, is going to be the border issue with Venezuela, because, of course, Bolsonaro said during the campaign that if he wins, relations will change, that Brazil's policy towards Venezuela will change. So let's show you a map of that. This is more than 1,000 kilometers. This border here between Venezuela and Brazil has become an important escape route for Venezuelan refugees fleeing the misery, economic conditions and so forth there. There have been some tensions in border towns and villages just inside Brazil, and Bolsonaro, of course, rode that wave, in a sense, during the election campaign. We'll have to see exactly what he does, but it's interesting that President Maduro of Venezuela, he did a tweet just after the results came in, and it was very stark contrast to other Latin American leaders who also tweeted congratulations to Jair Bolsonaro. With Maduro, there was no congratulations. It was actually a very defiant message. And his tweet says, "We will carry the banner of socialism and feminism." So clearly that word feminism must be a reference to Bolsonaro's comments about women during his career. And clearly Maduro setting himself up already as this kind of defiant resistor to Bolsonaro. But we'll have to see what that relationship actually, what happens to that, and if indeed Bolsonaro does adopt a militarized strategy to this border, which of course could entrench Maduro's position, his anti-American stance, even further.
Okay, definitely.